do the Maimer Vigash Eilo Yehuda. This is in the Mamorim Melukotim. This is the 26th Maimer. This was said on the Shabbos Parshas Vayigash Tovshin Lamed Vov. It says over here, B'Seyayte the Shmaya Shabbos Parshas Vayigash Tovshin Lamed Vov, and in the note it says that Yotzel La'oir B'Kuntras Teves Tovshin Nun. So they had a booklet on Teves Tovshin Nun. That is when this was published then, and Likras Yom Gimel Parshas Vayigash. This was for the Tuesday in the portion of Vayigash, which was the Yom HaBoir. That was the special day of Teves. So this was also done in honor of the day of the Dan Notzach. When it was ours was victorious in a very open way in front of the nation in the federal court, as it relates as it pertains to the Sfarim and the holy writings in the Lubavitch writery. And this is so the date when it is written is on Yom Aleph Parsha Vayigash Nasei Tovshin. That's when it was published. But the Maimer was said in Tovshin Lamed Vov. Vayigash Eilo Yehuda. So Yehuda comes close to Yosef, interceding on his brother. The Isa b'Zohar. So we find in the Zohar the Hagoshas Yehuda liYosef hu inyan smichas geula litefila. Yehuda coming to Yosef is the idea of bringing close the geula to the tefillah. We say the bracha Baruch Atah Hashem Goal Yisrael. So that bracha of Goal Yisrael before the Amidah has to be that the Geula should be next to and close by to the davening. That's the Yehuda and Yosef. Yehuda is basically Tefillah. Yosef is basically Geula. And bringing, the Parsha talks about Yehuda to Yosef, that according to Zohar says that's bringing the Geula together next to the Tefillah. So it's explained in the Mamorim of our teachers, our leaders. The Geula he bechinas Yisoid. Geula is the level of Yisoid, which is the level of Yosef. Yosef was the Sfiras HaYisoid. K'meisha Kosuv, what's the connection between Geula and Yisoid? Because the pasuk says in Rus, it says, "Im yigolcha toiv yigol." If toiv redeems you, let him redeem you. So we see that Geula is connected to toiv. Toiv will be the goyel; he will become the redeemer. And the toiv. So now, okay. So what's the connection with Yisoid? The toiv hu b'chinas Yisoid. Because Toiv is the level of Yisoid. So that's the level of Yosef, and that's the Geula. And then Smichas Geula l'Tefillah. Tefillah hi b'chinas Malchus. The Tefillah is Malchus. So it's Yisoid of Malchus. Bezuhi hashaychus the Geula Tefillah liYosef Yehuda. That's the connection of Geula and Tefillah to Yosef and Yehuda. Yosef ben Shva Esrei Shana B'Gematria Toiv. Yosef was 17 years old. The word 17 years old when he went to Yuroya Esechov Batzoin, as the pasuk says in the Parsha. And that's the Gematria, 17 Gematria Toiv, which who Yisoid, this level of Toiv, and that is Yisoid. Yehuda who Malchus, and Yehuda is Malchus. It's obvious because Yehuda comes later on. The kingdom comes from Yehuda. That smichas geula litfil. So the point that the Mamorim make is known, the Hagoshas Yehuda, the specific language, is that the Hagoshas Yehuda LeYosef, where it happened when Yehuda comes to Yosef, who she Yosef Hoya b'Mekoima Yehuda nigash LeYosef. That is that Yehuda came to Yosef, that Yosef remained in his place, and Yehuda comes close to Yosef. But when we say about bringing the redemption to davening, is the other way around. Over there, the davening stays in its place. Over there, the geula is sort of Yosef coming to Yehuda, not Yehuda coming to Yosef, but the way it plays out in geula l'tfilah. The tfilah stays in its place. Geula nismechas nigesh l'tfilah. Geula is brought to tfilah. We say to Mizu more than that. It's not just a who comes to whom, who's the one that is moving and who's stationary, but it's more than that. It's actually says to us that Yosef in the parsha was in a higher level than Yehuda, as opposed to in the Smichas Gula L'Tfilah, it's Yehuda is in a higher level Tfilah than the Gula. We say to Mizu, the Hagoshas Yehuda LeYosef, when Yehuda comes close to Yosef Mudgesh, over there it's emphasized Yosef Yehuda, that Yosef was on a higher level than Yehuda. That's why Yehuda needed to come close to Yosef, because he was the king, he was the one that had the authority, and Yehuda wanted something from Yosef. But when we say you have to bring Gula Tfilah, the main thing is the davening. We're bringing the Gula to the davening, which means that the Tefillah Yehuda is on a greater level than the Ula, which is Yosef, that he is brought to the Tefillah base. So how do we reconcile with the Zohar saying Ula L'Tfilah with the idea that here it's Yehuda coming to Yosef, and over there Yehuda is the main in the davening, and Yosef is coming to him. Base. So the point of the explanation in the Mamorim, based on what is explained in Torah, the Maimer, which starts Vina Nachrim al Malumim, that the sparks that have been sorted out through the Shvotim, through all the tribes, they needed to be sorted out, a second sorting through Yosef. Because when the birur that the tribes sorted out, who birur b'derech milmata l'maylo, that was done in a way from below to above, which is called birur deban, the sorting out of the level of the Shem Havai, the name of Ban. The birur zeh hurak bitlayesh. That's only when they were sorted out, with the sparks that were sorted out, milmata l'maylo, it's only to the level of bitl of the yesh. That's why they needed to be sorted out, a second sorting out through Yosef. Birur b'derech milmayla lamato. That's being sorted out from above to above. Birur dema. The Shvatim made the birur ban bitl yesh. It needed to be sorted out again to milmayla lamato birur ma to make bitl b'mitzias. By Yidezeh Heiman Tzutzis through the second birur, Nichlolim Belakus, they're included in godliness. Vuer b'Torah Irshom to b'Torah Ir. So that's why they were bundled. In an Mamorim the brother, the Hine Komalutz Lumosim Gam Mitzvah, that is to create the second birur. Vuer b'Torah Irshom explains in Torah Irshom b'Chdei Shetiya Hamshochas L'Shema. While Yidei Halos Man L'Shem Ban. In order that there should come down the Hamshach of the Shema that is necessary to finish up the birur, V'adei halo asman the Shem ban, that is through the Mayim Nukvim, the feminine water, the elevation that takes Shem ban. So the brothers' bundles, they bowed down. That's the halo asman to Alamosi of Yosef. Halo asman the hashvotim b'chinas bitl ishtachavo. That is bringing up the Mayim Nukvim, the shvot in a way of bitl ishtachavo. That's the way they aroused to bring down the name Li's Birur Sheni to make the second birur. Hine Yudua, and also it's known in order to arouse and bring about the elevation of the Mayim Nukvin of the ban, of the level of ban, the Shem ban, to bring the Gufa, while Yidei Hamshocha, B'Shem, while Lufim, the Halacha Hamshocha Mishema, by bringing down, so the Shema pushes the Shem ban so that the Shem ban can make the Ha'allah to be Mamshech of Shema. This is what the Zohar says. The Hagoshas Yehuda LeYosef, whose smichas geula l'tfilah. That Yehuda coming to Yosef, that's like the geula to the tfilah. The Hagoshas Yehuda LeYosef, when Yehuda comes to Yosef, who halo asman the hashvotim, that's bringing up the Ma'amnuk of the Shvatim, which is Yehuda who ikar hashvotim. He's coming to Yosef. That is LeYosef is la'oider hamshochas mad b'shem ba. That's the reason why he's coming to Yosef and he's bowing to Yosef. Is Vigash Elof Yehuda is la'oider hamshochas mad b'shem ma, to arouse and to bring down, to arouse the hamshoch b'shem mad from Shema. So that there will be the second birur milmayla lamato from Yosef to the Shvatim. This also fits with what our sages say. Allah passing on the verse by Yigash Elav Yehuda. So Vayigash Elav Yehuda came close. So they say, Ein Vayigash Ela L'Shalom. But when it says Vayigash, it means for peaceful. Ma'ila Sabirur Shebederech Milmaylo Lamato. Habirur the Yosef, the advantage of the birur that takes place Milmaylo Lamato, which is the birur of Yosef, Ishu B'derech Shalom, that it's in a way of peace. Okay, Yidua, as it's known, in a peaceful way. It's a birur in a peaceful way. Okay, Dua, as it's known, hachiluk, the difference between habirur, the tefillah, habirur, the Torah. The difference between the birur that takes place through davening, or the birur that takes through Torah. So birur the tefillah shu milmata l'maylo, the birur of tefillah which is from below to above, u'b'derech milchama. That's in a way of a war, a struggle. But babira the Torah, but the sorting out of Torah shu milmata l'maylo, u'b'derech menucha v'shalom. That's in a way of relaxation and peace. And within Torah itself, there's also the level of bidur b'derech shalom and bidur b'derech milchama within Torah. But Torah gufa and within Torah, hachiluk bein habidur shal yidei gal yidei Torah, the difference between the bidur that takes place through the revealed part of Torah, the habidur shal yidei primus Torah, to the sorting out which takes to primus Torah. Gal yidei Torah is a level of milchama, that's the bidur, and pnimius Torah, and over there the bidur is b'derech shalom. So who gives the power for the mayim nukvim of bringing up the malchus to Zoh, which is Agoshas Yehuda LeYosef, who alidei hamshocha mizol malchus. That comes through the hamshocha that Zoh Yosef gives to Yehuda, and that's the idea of smichas geula litfila, to bringing the geula to tefillah. Bringing Yosef to Yehuda, so that Yehuda should be able to yigash Elav Yehuda, so that Yehuda should be able to go up the Allah Asman of Malchus to Zoh. That takes place through the Hamshocha from Zoh to Malchus, which is Geula to Tefillah. Loshe Smichas Gula Litfila. But why the language? Why does it say we're bringing Gula to the davening? Shomeriki now. That points, as we said before, Shetfila hiya iker, that tefillah is the main. So why is the here the Geula is the main, and Geula impacts that the second bidur, and to elevate Malchus to the level of Zoh. So over there is Loshen Smichas Geula Litfila, that the Tefillah is the main. Tefillah Iker Huki Iker Hakavona, the Dire Betachtonim. What's the main intent of the making for the Eibishter a dwelling place in the low world? That's in sorting out from below to above. That's birur the ban, the sorting out of ban, the bitl milmato maila bitla yesh, the birur b'derech milmailo lamato, because the sorting out the way it takes place milmailo lamato from the level of Yosef from Zoh, birur the ma, which is level of ma. Even shahabirur mitzad hagilu oir, since that sorting out comes because there's a revelation of light. It comes below mitzad hatachton gufa. It doesn't come because the lower level came to that madrega. It's something comes from above. It's a gilu oir mamaylo. Then that is not so much connected to the Tachton by himself. And the intent of Dire B'Tachtonim Shlemes Davke is only specifically only concluded through the bitter that comes in a way from below to above. Shahatachton Nasi Keilukus, that the Tachton in his level, Milmat Lamaisa becomes a Keilukus, not because of a Gilu Oirno, but because he got sorted out, he got elevated from him, from the Tachton's perspective. Yehuda. That's why in the future to come, Yehuda will be on a higher level than Yosef. The Parshas Vayigash, that when we bring the tribes together, Yehuda and Yosef, it says, "Va'avdi David melech aleim," and my servant David will be the king. But David Avdi Nosalem Loylam, the two psukim over there in the Haftorah, that my servant David will be the leader for them eternally, so that the leader eventually will be David over Yosef, because the advantage of Diribet Achtoinim is fulfilled through the level of the bitter of the Mat Lamaila, the bitter of the Shem Ban, because that's from the perspective of the Mata himself. Gimel. We need to understand that this part, that the bitter of Ban is higher than Ma, that is Yelosh. That will be in the future to come. But right now, Ma is higher than Ban. So the Inyan Smichas Geula L'Tfila. So the fact that now we have Geula coming to Tfila, that is even now that we're saying that the Tefillah, which is the level of Yehuda, is higher than the Geula, which is level of Yosef. So what does it help me that in the future to come, then Yehuda is going to be higher than Yosef, Tefillah is going to be higher than Geula, but right now we're still Geula L'Tefillah, and now Ban is still lower than Ma. So the level of Yehuda is lower than Yosef. Still we say Geula L'Tefillah. So why is Geula L'Tefillah when Tefillah is in a higher level? The Gam Tzorich L'Havim. Also, we need to understand the the fact that the Zohar writes that when Yehuda comes to Yosef, that's the idea of bringing Geula to Tefillah. Mashma, it's understood Shagam beHagoshas Yehuda LeYosef, that actually when Yehuda comes to Yosef, Nikir Hamayla, the Malchus L'Gam, even when you're bringing Yehuda to Yosef, you can recognize the advantage of the level of Malchus, level of Yehuda to Zoh relative to Zoh, even though that Zoh is on a higher level, but you can also tell the Maila of Malchus when Yehuda is coming to Yosef. Even in that act, you can also recognize these advantage. Dalu. It's explained in my Mamorim, the Shnei Inyonim Elu, that these two aspects, Hamshocha Dema, what comes down, extends from the level of Ma, Ba'bidur the Ban, and the sorting out of Ban, who al derech Talmud U'Maisa, that is similar to the two aspects of study and action. Study is the level of Shocha Dema, and action, Maisa, is Bira Dema. But Inyanhu, the idea is the Tam Hadeish, the reason for the opinions in Talmud Gadol or Maisa Gadol. So in the Gemara, there is two opinions whether study is the main greater or action is the greater. So what's the reason for each one of these opinions? Each one, there is an advantage. There's an advantage to study, an advantage in action. The Mailas HaTalmud hu b'inyan ha'giluyim. The advantage of Talmud is in the aspect in what's revealed. Umailas ha'maisa, what's the advantage of action? Hu shal yidei ki ma'mitzvahs davke hu amshochos ha'atzmos. That through the performance of the mitzvahs, only through actually doing the mitzvahs in action, Then you bring down Atzmos. Talmud is Giluyim, and Maisa brings down Atzmos. Benimnu v'gavru, and they have counted by this opinion who's more people saying that Talmud Gadol. They counted and they decided that Talmud is greater. Talmud may be lidei Maisa, because study brings to Maisa, which means the Gam Shagam Hamayla de Maisa who alidei Talmud, and also the advantage that comes from Maisa comes through learning, because it's the learning that brings you to the action. So the Maisa is brought about through the Talmud. And there's two aspects in this. Limud ha'toyram is galis hamshochas ha'atzmus she'b'maisa ha'mitzvos. That when you study Torah, that is revealed the atzmus that you draw down in the Maisa mitzvahs. Ki gilui kol inyan hu alidei ha'toyram, because every matter being revealed, to realize, to have the revelation, atzmus and Maisa mitzvahs, is alidei ha'toyram, that comes through Torah. Torah oir. Torah is the light that brings about that recognition. He say to Mizu, and more than that, shagam ha'hamshocha, the Maisa ha'mitzvahs, hi alidei ha'talmud. So the first aspect is that where do we see it? Where is the oir? Where do we see the greatness of Maisa? Through the Torah. But actually, Torah also brings down the hamshocha, shagam hamshocha, the Maisa hamitzvahs. Also, the hamshocha that is through the Maisa mitzvahs, the alidei hatalmud that comes through the Talmud. This that through the Maisa mitzvahs you bring down atzmos who kasher asiya he bebitl. That is when the doing is in a way of subjugation. That's when the Maisa mitzvahs bring down atzmos. That bitl comes through the study of Torah. Shenikras tushia. The Torah is called the weakening tushia. Shemateshes akoyach the nefesh abahamis. That weakens the power of the animal soul. Upaelas by bitl, and it impacts a bitl. Zehu godlu Talmud shemevi lidei Maisa. This means the Talmud brings to the Maisa more than just illuminates that it is in the Maisa, but it actually brings to Maisa. Maisa gufa bo alidei Talmud. The action itself comes through learning. The learning provides that bittel that later on the Maisa mitzvahs is mamshich atzmus. In a similar way is also when ba ma is nimshach, and the way we sort out ba the hamshachas ha'atzmos he al yidei habirur the ba, the way where mamshich atzmos, that is through the sorting out of ba, ukenal, as we said earlier, shabirur the ban shababirur the ban dafkin ishlam zakavana the din b'tachtoinet. It's specifically when we sort out ban which the intent of din b'tachtoinet is completed. But in order to come to that this kavonah that's nishlam and bitter the ban, hamshocha the ma, that comes through the hamshocha of ma. Okay, similar to Talmud shemevel the Maisa, we say the Talmud brings to the Maisa that helps the ban bring down the atzmos through the bitter of ba. So what does this tell us? We have to understand. The issue, the diuk that we had before, the question, the Ian Smichas Gula Litfilo, Shigam Achshov Tfilo Hilumayla Mugula, that even now tefillah is higher than geula, even though that this would really be revealed also lovely. So now, this will be even more why we say that we're soymech geula to the tefillah. The be'inyan Talmud u'maisa, because as far in the matter when we discuss the study and action, Akshav, who Talmud got right now, the study is greater. Verak, loss in love, year Maisa Godel. Only in the future, Maisa be Godel. But the issue is that we have Ubinyan Gula Vitfilo, but as far as Gula and Tfilo, Gam Akshav Tfilo Lemaila Gula. Also now Tfilo is higher than Gula. And that's really, when we say that you have to bring Geula to Tefillah, that's also love. But right now, the Talmud is Godel. Geula is Godel. So why are we bringing Geula to Tefillah, Semech Geula Tefillah, which points that the Tefillah is greater? So especially a way we explained it now in the level of Talmud Maisa, and now we say Talmud Godel. It's only in the future that will be Maisa Godel. So why are we Semech Gula Tefillah? So the question we said before from the Lashon Semech Gula Tefillah, which is mashma, that the Tefillah is on a higher madrega, as it's interpreted in the Gula Tefillah. Why are we Semech Gula Tefillah? Why does it indicate that the Tefillah is on a higher madrega when now Gula is on a higher madrega, the level of Talmud? Hey, we can say the explanation. What's the reason why now Talmud is greater? Is Lefisha Talmud maybe Lidei Maisa? Because the study brings to action. The Mizem Muchach, that actually is evidence, since the greatness of the Talmud is that it brings to Maisa. So that indicates that actually the Maisa is on a higher level. Because Talmud, we're saying, is maybe the Maisa. Masik, who Mesuba Mizeh. So, Talmud Zachtalu, Shatam the Maisa, Mizeh Muchak Shamaisu Ike, which tells us Maisa meaning. So, why is that? Who Mesuba Mizeh shall also love a year Maisa. The future to come, Maisa will be greater. El Sha'achshav. But now, but the main Maila now is in the revelations. Gam Hagadlus the Maisa shall Yoda Dafku Hamshochas Asmus. Also, the greatness of Maisa, which Dafka through Maisa, we bring down Asmus, Kemoshe Nirgash Aksho. The way we feel it now, who Kemoshe Shaykh Lahagiluyim, as it is connected to the Giluyim, because now is Giluyim. It's a time of Giluyim before loss in love. And therefore, when we talk about the greatness of Maisa, is as it belongs, it connects to Giluyim. The Kibon Shahagilui Dam Shochas Ha'atzmus B'Maisa Mitzvah Su'alidei Limud HaTorah. And the revealed part, that Amsmus comes to Maisa Mitzvahs, we are studying Torah, that's how we see. So now Talmud is greater because it brings the Maisa, because that's how we're dealing now in the Giluyim, and over there the Talmud is greater. So based on this, we can say the Mashikosu Badrushim or the Mamorim say Shaham Shocha the Ma La'ir Halos Man the Ban, that you bring down the level of Ma to arouse the Allah of Man the Ban, the Maimuk the Ban, Huki Inyan Talmud Shemel the Maisa. But there it says this is like the idea that Talmud brings to Maisa, who Gam Biur al Zeh, that also explains this she'inyan dismichas gula litfilo shamoira al ma'ila satfilo. This also explains that when we say that the Geula comes to Tefillah, that Tefillah is the main Shemoyre, that points al Tefillah, who al derech shalosh love, that to the way it's going to be in the future to come. Shalosh love yiyeh Yehuda l'maylam Yosef, Yehuda higher than Yosef. So it explains it. Agam shezesh Yehuda l'maylam Yosef yiyeh beker l'osed love. That although that Yehuda will be greater than Yosef, it's mainly in the osed love. And we're explaining that's why Smichas Gula L'Tfilah now, we call Makim. Kivon Shegam Achshov Meir Ktsas Milas HaMalchus. But since now also shines a little bit the advantage of Malchus, even before Losh and Lava, even now. That Tamal Zesh Talmud Godel Achshov Lifi Shemegel the Maisa. The reason why now Talmud is Godel is because it brings to action. Lochein, therefore, Shaykh, it applies to become in Yonim Tiye Begilu Hamayla the Malchus Atzma, that in many aspects, it'll be opening the Malchus itself. Hamayla did Tefillah L'gabi Gula, to sense the advantage of Tefillah with regards to Gula. So that means that even in when we do Hagoshas Gula L'Tefillah, which will be Lost and Love, Tefillah will be the greatest, but since even now we sense the Maila of Tefillah L'Gabe Gula, so that's why it says Smichas Gula L'Tefillah. That's also the idea of Smichas Gula L'Tfilah when Yehuda comes to Yosef, even though over there is Gula L'Tfilah and here it's Yehuda L'Yosef. Even though Yehuda coming to Yosef means the advantage of Zoh, Yosef is the stationary and Yehuda Malchus comes to Zoh. Because there are some aspects in Yehuda coming to Yosef, Shubahem, Mudgeshes Milas HaMalchus Kidul Kamon. Over there, you can is emphasize the advantage of Malchus, as Rebbe explains now. So even when we're talking about Vigash Eilov Yehuda is coming to Yosef, but we can sense in with regard to several matters that Yosef has an advantage, just like the Maila of Torah. Maybe even now that maybe the Maisa, you sense that there is the advantage in the Maisa, even though the real experience would be lost in love. But you will understand by introducing Masha Agoshas Yehuda Yosef Amirose, that Yehuda comes to Yosef and he says to him, Eich el Avi, by saying to Yosef, how will I go up to my father? So Yehuda was trying to convince Yosef to let him go. He says, how could I go up to my father without Binyamin? And Hevi Lozed, that brought about the fact that he could not withstand Yosef, and he revealed himself to his brothers. The Lechayre would seem since they came to him all with their brother Binyamin, he should have immediately revealed himself. Why did he hide the cup, the goblet in the pack of Binyamin? So they should come again. He brought them back a second time after finding the cup. And also then he did not immediately reveal himself. But it's only after Yehuda came close and he put forth his argument. That's when he revealed to his brother. So what's the point of the explanation? Binyamin utzadik tachten. Binyamin is the tzaddik in the lower. Shemaila hamakabel mimata lamaila. He elevates the recipient from below to above. He's the tzaddik tachten. Umekashrei b'hamashpia, and he ties him to the mashpia. The Iker halos man the malchus, and the main elevation of my nukma malchus, why they binyamin is through binyamin. He's the tzaddik tachtim. Lochein Iker halos man da shvotim hoyu kishabo liyeiser b'pamashnia b'shu binyamin. The main elevation of the nukma the shvotim was when they came to Yosef the second time because of binyamin. B'zeh shehit min Yosef sagvi b'amtachas binyamin. And the fact that Yosef hid the cup in the pack of Binyamin halos man da malchus in order to arouse the halos man of malchus that's by bringing down the hamshocha from Zoh that he put the cup in there. This that Yosef instructed to hide the goblet in the pack of Binyamin, the tribes didn't know that who. In order that the elevation of the Maim Nukfin of the Makabel should be because from the Makabel, that is when that Hamshocha from the Mashpia Shemereres HaMakabel, which arouses the makabel, he behelim is hidden. That's why he hid the pack. And the fact that later on they found the cup. So beginning it's done in a hidden way. So what's ma'ored is in a hidden way. And then eventually find what after it was already aroused by them, the halos man. Bo hamshocha begilu. That hamshocha came openly. And that way they were elevated even higher. Than the elevation when the Gaviyah was hidden. That's why after the cup was found, Yehuda says, Halikim. Hashem found the sin of your servants after he was elevated to a higher level. Even something very thin, very light, that's considered a sin because he was on the high madrega elevated. Vigash, Aleph, Yehuda. So after the cup of the goblet was hidden, and then later on he was elevated to the level of the higher level Los Man. Then Vigash Yehuda has Los Man Shaloi Dechol Hashvotim Oiso B'Shleimus, that was complete. V'hinei Zayin. V'hinei K'sherotzu Yehuda La'orer Es Yosef She'amshich Lo Hamshochas Mad. When Yehuda wanted to arouse Yosef to extend to him the Hamshochas of the Mayid L'churim, the Sarusa de La'ela, Omar Lei, he said, Yidaber no Abdecha Dover Ba'osne Adoni Gemer Ki Chamoicha Kipare. Speak in your servant's ears like you are like Pare. Babir Bezer. Where's the explanation? Since being extended from Zot to Malchus is a descent, that's why Yehuda explained to Yosef that on the contrary, not only would it not descend, that will bring about an elevation in Zeirabit. That it will be just you like Pare, the Yosef without coming down to Malchus, Yosef just in Zoh is Mitzadas and Maschil with Chochma Shiresh Zagilu. That comes from Chochma, which is the beginning of revelation. דבר no avtucha dover beis ladon. Be mashpia. L'avtucha to malchus yeh kipari will be like pari keser. The keser gufa pnimis in the keser itself. The pnimis keser. Zehu hakesher da goshos Yehuda liyesef l'smichas bula l'tfilah. And this is the connection that when Yehuda comes to Yosef, to the idea of bringing Geula to the Tefillah. Kibagoshas Yehuda liyosef, because when Yehuda comes to Yosef, Mudgeshes HaMalchus, Hamal the Malchus L'Gabizoh, over there it emphasized the advantage of Malchus L'Gabizoh. Shal Yidei Sha'Zoh Mashpia L'Malchus, when Zoh gives is mashpia to malchus with toyosef ilu bezoh becomes an advantage in zoh the chamoich kipare the pnimis hakeser. Al derech zeh, al derech godel Talmud shemeivu de meiser, that through the Talmud that brings the meiser, when he comes down into meiser, the ayidei zeh nasa hagdola beTalmud, that creates a greatness in the Talmud. V'apizeh yuvan gam hakesher the ha'tayra, the Vigesh of Yehuda in ha'tayra, the parshas Vigesh. But also to explain the connection of Vigesh of Yehuda with the ha'tayra, shetochno hu shelo asid lo Yehuda l'malam Yosef. There, the contents of the ha'tayra is that in the future to come, Yehuda will be higher than Yosef. Ki ha'ilu shenase b'zoh al yidei hashpa'aseh l'malchus, the advantage that happens to Zoh through its hashpot malchus who agdama lezeh. This is an introduction to this. Shal osilov it is gala malchus malchus milas malchus atzma will be revealed, the advantage of malchus itself, and then because even though Yehuda is coming to Yosef, but that brings the advantage to Yosef that kamech kipare. This is a introduction in which the Milo of Malchus itself will be revealed. V'abdi David Melech Aleim Gomer. The David Abdi Nosi Lahem Lo'ilo. The Bias Mashiach Tzidkeinu B'Korev Mamish.